Larry Boy and the Rumor Weed, I was taking the company in a very clear direction towards producing a feature film. I think the studio, was up to 50 or 60 people at that point, and we were pushing everything, as far as we could. We were pushing the lighting, we were pushing the score, we were pushing the animation, we were pushing the effects. Everything was just, okay, let's take it all further than we've ever taken it before. And in my mind, to be honest, Larry Boy and the Rumor Weed was to be the last half-hour VeggieTales video. And the one after that was Jonah.
We started Rumor Weed as sort of practice, for making a feature film. Just really starting to concentrate more on cinematography and lighting and just how we frame the shots and making it more film-like. At that point, we're really starting to learn the craft, and had enough people, and we're hiring the type of people, the type of artists and technicians to really do great work.
I remember I was working on the design for the Rumor Weed, and we were going back and forth with how scary she should look and how funny she should look. And I just remember I was doing a scary drawing of the Rumor Weed, and my son came up to me, and he was just a little boy at the time, and he just kind of ran off. So I said, okay, that was a little too scary, so I better work on this a little bit more. The first time we actually color keyed a show, and that means to go through sequence by sequence and decide what the design for the actual color will be, is on Larry Boy. And we took a bunch of storyboards that were already pre-drawn by Luis Contreras, and I just started to add some color to them. I believe Dan Lopez did some of that too. And we just designed the color from sequence to sequence to try to lead the characters a little bit more emotionally, as an emotional beat throughout the story.
Everyone, listen to me!
The Rumor Weed had a crowd scene, and for some reason we thought we needed a wide variety of vegetable species represented in the crowd. It was a metropolitan city, very diverse.
There's like 1 million different designs and characters that come in there. But everybody on the staff was just so into it, and they had all these really awesome ideas and all these visions, and everybody wanted to have something in the show. So we had all these people come up with different ideas, so we started to do different looking vegetables, and it was so funny because all these new characters just come on for that one shot and just really add so much to it. It was just a lot of fun to work together.
But also, they were worried about filling the space, so they decided to throw in a pumpkin, just to take up a lot of space, and these mushroom people that had, big heads to take up a lot of space. It was a lot of work, just to build and dress all of those. That was our first and last highly racially diverse crowd scene. And so by the time we got to Jonah, we'd learned just peas and carrots, man. Peas and carrots. And just cut and paste, different noses, different hats, but peas and carrots. Don't go messing with pumpkins and onions and all sorts of stuff. That's a nightmare. The scores, by far the most complex. We ended up recording an 80-voice men's choir, at Kurt's alma mater, his college that he went to in Iowa, and a full string section, and it was just, it was the first time we said we need to do a soundtrack album.
We really wanted to take it to the next step. So we actually decided, let's bring in some string players. It's just such an emotional instrument. It's going to add a lot of drive to the show. So we brought in 12 or 16 string players and recorded those. The other element, of course, was the choir again. Okay, we had a choir in the Larry Boy. Well, how can we take that up a step? Instead of 12, how about 85? So I went back to Luther College, my alma mater, and asked an old friend of mine, Tim Peter, if he had any ideas. And he said, yeah, we've got a men's choir here, the Norsemen. That sounds good, doesn't it? The Norsemen, 85-voice men's choir. It's one of the largest, if not the largest, men's college choir in the country. And he said, oh, they'd love to do this. It would be a fun project. So Adam, our audio engineer, and I went out, road trip to Iowa, woohoo! I think they had an indoor pool at the hotel, though. That was nice. And so we had 2 days, got these guys in the evenings, in the choir room. If we were in a fancy studio, you'd have headphones for everybody to hear the music. We didn't even have that. So I would have headphones with the click. I'd take the pitch, and so the choir would be singing a cappella. Couldn't hear anything except themselves sing their phrase. We'd get it recorded, and then later I'd drop in the orchestra to fit with the choir.
I remember listening to the rough takes of that, for the first time they came back from Iowa, recording this 80-voice men's choir, and just putting the tapes in and listening to them. Okay, everybody, version 12. Larry boy, oh. It did all these things completely random, completely loose, but it was so huge. Like, I can't wait till that all comes together.
Rumorweed, the character of the Rumorweed, was a fun addition. We had to come up with a sound for her. So I used my trumpet, and it sounds like we used a wah-wah mute, Harmon mute, which you can kind of wah-wah-wah, get some sounds on. But we actually ran the trumpet through what's called a talk box. A lot of guitarists use it for some interesting solos where they actually send the sound back through their mouth, and as they're talking, the sound is being shaped by their mouth. So you get this wah, 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 wah sort of sound. So actually, when you listen to those parts, you'll actually hear, instead of just a trumpet sound, it's actually saying things like Rumorweed and those sorts of things. It's kind of in the background there, but it's a little fun idea that we had that I've never seen used on a brass instrument before. I remember some of those late nights I was at the office by myself writing, and we had this box just sitting under one of the desks, and it was full of fan mail that got sent in. We hadn't gotten through all of it or hadn't posted it yet. And I just leafed through it, and that's when a lot of times it would really strike me the impact that we were making. Because you don't get that daily. You're in the grind, you're talking to your co-workers who are in the thick of things with you, and yet out there's people going, wow, this is affecting my kids, they're learning something. And it's just wonderful to see how these stories are impacting people. And that's what makes it so great when you're up late at night and working and wondering, okay, does this really matter? And then you see this sort of response, you go, wow, that's really a good payoff.
Help is on the way. Alfred, we've got some gardening to do.
Rumorweed was also kind of a highlight because we were exploding. As a company, I think we're up to probably 120 people. And to debut Rumorweed, we rented the Hard Rock Live, the Hard Rock Cafe's huge thing at City Walk at Universal Studios, and filled it, packed it with people, and then premiered this film. It was just a huge, huge party. Probably the biggest party we've ever had at Big Idea. It's like, the sky's the limit. Let's go make a movie. That's really what launched us into making a movie.